Hi, welcome everybody. Today we're going to do slab-built vessels. And I want to tell you there's two major ways that we can create slab-built vessels. Both of them, of course, involve a slab, but one slab would be soft, just freshly rolled, and one slab that is leather hard. Remember, when we think about leather hard, that's a really important term that tells us the clay is still soft enough to join, but it is not so soft that it doesn't hold its shape. Okay, as you can see, this slab, if I hold it out, is not drooping, so I know that's leather hard. It's pliable, but it isn't so soft that it just collapses. Now we're going to create a fresh slab. Of course, rolling pin is the best way to do this, or a slab roller. If you have a slab roller, is a great way to do it. A nice kind of wide area to make your slabs. And as you're rolling out your slabs, you want to make sure that eventually the slab is all the same thickness. So we're going to roll this slab out to a consistent thickness, about a ½ inch or so. It takes a little practice to get it to where it's all more or less the same. If you have to flip it a few times, turn the direction, that helps too. So take your slab all the way out and establish an even thickness. Like I said, a slab roller does that for you. It's a great way to do it. If you don't have a slab roller, a rolling pin is the next best thing, just a little bit more touch to it. Or maybe a piece of pipe, PVC pipe will work as a rolling pin. I'm just going to flip this one more time, just to bring that now to that thickness that I'm hoping for. So as this is nice wet clay, it is very soft. It's a very soft slab. So we are able to bend that around different shapes, which is what we're going to do today. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this slab being kind of a nice even thickness. We're going to create a similar shape as to the Mayan drinking vessel we have in the image before us there, over to the side. And it's going to just be a basic cylinder shape. So I'm going to eventually wrap this slab around this cylinder, this jar of glaze. So let's go ahead and first cut the slab to give it a nice flat edge. Using a ruler helps for sure to get nice straight lines. And I want this vessel to be about this high on the form, on the jar, so I'm going to do a quick measurement here, let's say about 4 inches. So we'll make it a 4-inch wide strip. And I can measure and with a ruler cut the top edge of my slab. Set aside all your excess slabs. They definitely come in handy. We're going to use some of that to make the bottom of our vessel. All right, so now I have a slab that I'm going to wrap around this jar, and because they're going to join back up on each other, I want to square off the rough edges as well, so get that nice straight 90-degree cut. And then, knowing that this is going to go all the way around, I'm going to just mark it once just to know how far I'll eventually need to have this go, and roughly cut it to shape. Okay, now I have rolled out my slab. I have cut the edges, both the top and the bottom of the edges, top and bottom sides, nice and clean, and also the ends, and I'm ready to take that and wrap it around my form, which is this jar. Now this is definitely a soft slab, as you can see. There is no rigidity to it at all. However, it will hold its shape fairly well vertically. So in order for this clay to not stick to the jar, we're going to wrap a little bit of paper, newspaper will do, any kind of paper around your form. You don't have to actually tape it or anything, just hold it with your finger there. And that will allow the jar form to release from the clay. So then we are ready to wrap it onto the form. So you can see I'm putting this right to the bottom of the slab. I'm taking my fingers and I'm just holding it on there so it really follows the contour of that form. And once it gets all the way around, as expected, I'm going to have a little bit I'll need to trim. You see that we're pretty close. I can trim that side while it's flat, so we get a nice straight cut. I'm ready to roll that right on around, and they join together nice and clean. In this case, this clay is so wet, you don't need as much slipping and scoring, but just to be safe, it's a good practice to go ahead and apply a little bit of slip and score that edge, just to rough it up some. And this will just get it bonded. We'll be able to shape it a little bit later on. Now once I've made that complete revolution, I'm just going to roll it just ever so lightly to get those to start to stick together. Those more, as it were. The more accurate, the more fitted your slab is, the less you'll have a seam visible. And since the clay is so soft still, I can roll it right on that seam, right across that seam very gently, and it will sort of smush the clay down into that gap. And eventually, your seam will start to disappear. See, the seam is still somewhat visible there. My form is serving its purpose well to keep it a perfect cylinder on the inside, and I'm free to kind of manipulate the clay as needed, both rolling and just kind of applying pressure inward. And I don't want to remove this until I'm happy with the results. Alright, so now I have the walls of my cylindrical vessel with the slab wrapped around it. Now I need to create the bottom, and that's where we'll take one of these additional slabs and set the piece right on top of that. I always like to mark where I'm going to cut the clay lightly first. So trail around this. Remove it temporarily. You can see my shape that I'm going to cut out. And I can cut that out without so much effort. So now I have the roughed out bottom to my vessel. Of course, we always want to use the same technique to join clay that we learned when talking about coils. That is slipping and scoring. So I'm going to move to this rolling deck, or this turning decorator wheel, and I'm going to score this edge. This is a pretty important part of this vessel. This is going to be performing at a high level once this vessel is complete. It has to be joined well enough to withstand the liquid that might be inside the cup, and oftentimes the hot liquid that's inside the cup. So you want to get this connection right. Plenty of dense score lines, then apply your slip. Now we're ready to attach to the base. I'll lightly score this one as well. I don't think that it's as important to score this one as long as you have a good level of moisture in the clay. So we're ready to connect the two. And always kind of ease into joining the clay together. feeling that the connection is made pretty well. I'm going to apply a light pressure to get that to begin to join. And now I have the beginnings of a nicely formed soft slab constructed cylinder. There's still work to be done once this goes from very soft to more of a leather hard state. Maybe decorative elements, much like the Mayan example, and the interior kind of making sure to smooth any of the remaining areas where the two clay pieces were joined together. But the reason why we put the paper inside is so that when we're finished using this form, we can just simply grab the form that we had in there and lift it out, and it easily releases from the clay. The paper can stay in there. Eventually you want to take this out as it shrinks, but knowing that while that is inside, you can much easier move it and not have any distortion take place to the vessel. And so that is soft slab construction. Take this all the way out. See, if you're careful, it remains perfectly cylindrical as the form dictated, and then as it gets more firm, we can come back and make slight adjustments to it. All it needs now is for you to allow it to dry to a leather hard state, perhaps decorate, and there you have it. All right, now back to our soft slab construction, inspired by a Mayan drinking vessel, as you can see here from the 6th to 9th century. I chose this as an example not only because of its historical significance, but it's also a very simple form that certainly utilized the slab construction technique, the soft slab construction technique. All right, now we're going to finish our soft slab construction, inspired of course by that Mayan drinking vessel. Earlier we rolled the slab around the form, we attached the base to the form, and next we're going to just make sure that the interior of the vessel has a good connection to the sidewalls, the bent sidewall around, and as well we're going to slightly dome the bottom of the vessel. So first we're going to add a very thin coil to the inside base of the vessel, maybe, I don't know, a little bit thinner than a pencil, something around this size coil, and using some slip. Not a whole lot of surface area to be able to score and slip, so just slip alone will be fine. And we're going to spread that around the inside base of the vessel. As you can see, I've just kind of placed it in there. And now I'm going to get in there and smooth it out, which is going to take a little bit more time. All right, now we've blended that coil to really connect the sidewalls to the base. We also, as you can see here, should blend the way the slab overlapped. So taking a tool here to kind of blend that away. And make sure there's no gaps or places in the interior where the clay is not as smooth as possible. We want to think about the function of this, and any kind of little valleys or smaller areas to get to are not desirable for function. And then finally, once our cylinder is completely formed and blended, we're going to slightly dome inward a concave surface to the base. And that can be done with a variety of materials, including your elbow. Just going to roll that on my elbow, and as you can see, I've now created a slightly domed base. And my drinking vessel is finished. And that's slab construction, both soft slab construction and leather hard slab construction. Stay tuned for our next video as we explore mixed medias.